So for quite a while, I've been wanting to do a series of shorter videos where I can quickly sum up sociological terms and ideas and topics that often come up in feminist circles and discussions of social justice.
Oh, I can't wait, Marina. I can't fucking wait. Intro!
Hello everyone, this is Champion. Ugh! Damn it, I can't see a thing in this.
I want to be able to use these videos as quick resources that I can link people to when I'm talking about more in-depth topics.
Whatever, Marina, we're skipping this bullshit, so let's just get to the meat of this video, shall we?
So the topic that I wanted to talk about today is colorism.
Oh, joy, I cannot wait. Oh, colorism. What the fuck is that, Marina? Please, lecture me on how colorism is a thing and what it is. Please, do tell me, dear mulatto sister of mine, who actually does look a bit like my sister, which makes you even creepier. Ugh.
I super briefly alluded to it in my Do White Passing People of Color Experience Privilege video.
Oh god, do I remember that fucking train wreck. Oh, if you want to see my response to that, please go check out that video somewhere in my video thingies. Hey, I'm not linking it here. I'm not going through my entire filmography just to fucking get you one video. Hey people, you can go find it yourselves. Yeah, basically, she tried to say that mixed race people like me and her, who are a bit more light skinned than the others, have privilege because we're lighter skinned than they are. And we don't actually know when we have this white passing privilege, but we have it. And I don't remember her talking about colorism, but I assume she must have, because I completely blanked it out of my mind. But whatever, Marina, please do go on.
There's a lot of nuance there, and it can be really confusing.
Confusing, it was downright absurd. And let's not forget that it wasn't nuanced at all, it was just retarded, okay? Let's be honest here, Marina, it was retarded, and you should be ashamed of that video.
But while I gave one side of the argument, I didn't really go into depth about the issue of colorism. I simply said that light-skinned people have certain privileges, but I basically left it at that, and I was called out on it a little bit, so that's really why I wanted to talk about it today.
So you did watch my video? Or were you called out by other social justice warriors, Marina? Because, let's just put it like this. There is no such thing as that type of privilege anymore, alright? There may have been 50 years ago in the Western world, well, really more your country, America, really. I mean, in this country, it was kind of more, I don't know. I always get confused between de facto and de jure, but I would say that it was really more of a prejudice than actual full-on racism. I mean, we didn't have segregation. And we didn't have shit like Jim Crow laws, which is pretty much the same, but there's different things. We didn't have any of that over here, but we had our own issues, but it was mostly to do with violence and institutional shit, which is pretty much mostly in the past now. I mean, there's still some things, but by and large, I think we will soon, fix that issue. But that's besides the point. There's no privilege anymore based on race. It is now entirely based on wealth and class. But you social justice warriors, you're all rich, so that's kind of an inconvenience to you, isn't it?
So according to racerelations.about.com, colorism is a practice of discrimination by which those with lighter skin are treated more favorably than those with darker skin.
That is basically racism, Marina. That is covered within the definition of racism. We don't need a colorism. Or is this a term used to denote a separation? Because as we know, in the black community, there is a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but there is a lot of tension between lighter-skinned black people and darker-skinned black people. For whatever reason, I assume it's because, during the time that there was race-based privileges, the light-skinned black people were favoured more than the darker-skinned ones. But this is now in the past, but those tensions and, I don't know, feelings of bitterness still remain for whatever reason, so maybe that's what it was invented for, this term, but that is pretty much covered within the definition of racism. We don't need colorism. And anyway, people, is it just me, or has this got nothing to do with feminism? What has this got to do with feminism? I've noticed distinctly that Feminist Fridays and whatever it is this is now has nothing to do with feminist issues. This is race and civil rights and shit like that. This is nothing to do with feminism, Marina. Are you really grasping for stuff to talk about with feminism? Or are you just doing what they do and appropriate shit that doesn't belong to them? I don't know. I'm just wondering, Marina.
In the United States, colorism first came about during times of slavery, in which light-skinned slaves were typically favored over dark-skinned slaves.
I think you'll find it's probably always been around. I mean, just look at the Indian community. They have something like that, you know? They prefer the lighter-skinned Indians to the darker-skinned Indians. And I mean, you know, subcontinent Indians. But why do you have to always go back to slavery? Where's the modern, you know, examples of all this bullshit? I mean, nobody really cares about this anymore. Well, at least we try not to, but you guys keep bringing it up again. So, who cares about slavery now? That's in the past. And, again, it's been around a lot longer than just slavery. This is the problem with Americans like you. All history started 200 years ago and not, you know, way before that, before your country was even formed. But never mind, let's carry on, people.
Aside from this preference stemming from simple racist reasons, a lot of the time the lighter-skinned slaves who received privileges like being able to work within the house received those privileges because they were direct offspring of their white masters.
Not actually, not really. I mean, some slaves who worked in the house were not light-skinned, or the direct offspring of said slave masters. In fact, that's kind of racist, suggesting that all the slaves looked exactly the same before they had, you know, kids with white people. You do realise that Africa's a massive place full of different groups of people, right? You do realise that not all West Africans are very dark, or North Africans are very dark, or very light. There's loads of different types of people. Not all slaves were very dark-skinned black people, just like not all other slaves were light-skinned. It was all different things, and it wasn't just directly down to that, but never mind. And sometimes, you know, preferring a light-skinned person doesn't necessarily mean you're racist. It just looks good to you. But, you know, you're just going to try and, you know, justify your argument against this so-called bullshit problem by using the past rather than the present, because, you know, you haven't got anything to fight against nowadays, have you? So you just have to use the past that nobody else remembers or is affected by in this day and age. So, well, carry on, Marina.
White slave owners would rape enslaved women, and it would produce lighter-skinned, mixed-race children.
Again, another generalisation. Some people were raped, others were actually part of a relationship on the side. You know, they were fuck buddies, or there was some kind of exchange between the owner and the slave. It wasn't entirely rape, okay? They weren't all raped. In fact, some women gained their freedom through relationships with slave owners, you know? And some mixed-race offspring weren't told to just work in the house and work in the fields. They were actually, you know, raised to be sons and daughters of these white guys. You know, it's not so simple as that. You guys just know fuck all about history. You know, were like, oh, this problem with white passing privilege is very nuanced. You have no sense of nuance, Marina. And you have no sense of historical accuracy or fact. So please, look it up before you start giving me generalised bullshit.
So, like, some pretty horrible origins.
Well, actually it goes even farther back than that. As I mentioned, the Indian caste system was very much based on this Colourism thing anyway. So, well, it's maybe more their beauty standards than actual caste system, but you do notice that as you go further down, they do get darker. But never mind, I guess. Never mind. It's just Americanized history as usual, people. Just ignore it.
While European colonialism definitely left its mark on the United States in a lot of really terrible ways, colorism actually predates European contact with the United States.
Well, at least you know something. At least I have been confirmed that yes, it does predate colonialism, even though she has a big boner for shit like this. Well, social justice warriors and Black Lives Matters people in general have a big boner for it, but never mind. Let's continue, people.
We saw this in a lot of Asian countries where darker-skinned Asian people were typically associated with being working class and living in poverty, while light-skinned Asians were typically part of the ruling class.
Again, as I said before, god damn it, why didn't you just say this before? Why did you have to come up with all this bullshit slavery argument And then you have to go even further back in the past to try and tell us that this problem is a massive problem today. You know? I mean, I already told you this bullshit, Marina. Jesus. Oh my god. Look. It's not necessarily down to that, because not all Asian cultures are like that. In India, it definitely was the case. But, you know, it depends largely who was in power. I mean, the southern Indians, who are generally darker, if I get this correct, were in power once, and then the northern Indians are in power. It all depends. It's the exception. It is generally the norm that the lighter skinned ones were kind of in power, but not necessarily so. But oh well, let's continue, people.
Unfortunately, colorism continued to plague communities of color in the 20th century and even still today.
You know what happens in white communities too, right? You did realise that? Someone who looks vaguely brown could be mistaken for being Asian. Even if they just got a bit more melanin than, you know, their brothers and sisters or their friends. You do realise, right? But it's just a bullshit term anyway that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't really exist. It's just racism. It's just racism, isn't it? It's racism or it's prejudice. It doesn't really exist. It's a way to basically say, oh, people of colour, in inverted commas, are not racist. They're just colourist. They're not racist. They can't possibly be racist because they're the victims, not the oppressors. So they're colourists, not racist. Is that what you're trying to say, Marina? Jesus Christ, you as a mixed race person should know better than this.
One example of this is the paper bag test.
You what, mate?
This test took place in the 20th century in many African-American upper-class social institutions, such as sororities, fraternities, churches, and other types of social events.
Oh my, these are very privileged people, but hey, they're African-Americans, so they're actually victims. You know, never mind the fact that they're richer than most white people. But, oh well, never mind.
Basically, if a black person or a person of color had skin that was darker than a paper bag, they were not allowed entrance.
This is a dumb test. Why is this test happening in the early 20th century? And how come we need to know about this? Because it's not another modern example. It's not a modern example. Okay? This is nothing. This is nothing. This doesn't prove shit. This doesn't do anything for your argument. Because you're not referencing anything from the 21st century. Okay? Jesus, Marina, and other social justice warriors, is the past all you've got to justify your ideology? Really?
You might be thinking, well, that was in the 20th century and it's 2015, so what about today? In 2014, the actress Lupita Nyong'o said, European standards of beauty are something that plagued the entire world.
Oh, for fuck's sake. She is European. I don't care what you say. She was born in Britain. She's European, okay? She's not African. She's of African descent, but she is not geographically African, okay? She's a European, basically saying that European beauty standards are plaguing the world. What do you mean they're plaguing the world? What do you mean? The world doesn't have the same beauty standards. Not even European beauty standards are the same as each other, you idiot. This is another racist generalisation of white people culture, as usual, by people like us, by minorities. Again, constantly. Look, French beauty standards are different to British standards. French women don't mind having a bit more hair than British women. I don't know about other places, but I assume that, you know, in one country there could be, you know, curves are more acceptable than, say, I don't know, another one where they prefer a skinnier type of person. It's all completely different. It's not all the same. And by the way, she won an Oscar and was in magazines. And people find her very attractive. I don't think she's a bad-looking person at all. I think she's quite a pretty person. But hey, apparently our beauty standards, which by the way, it's her beauty standard too, is plaguing the world. God, what is it with minorities today? Can we just, you know, live and let live and not have to go with this bullshit identity politics that has been destroying everything that everyone who isn't a racist has tried to fight for? And you lot are just ruining it for everyone.
The idea that darker skin is not beautiful, that light skin is the key to success and love.
Nobody has said that ever other than fucking racists. And where are they now in 2015? Oh, that's right, people like MarinaShutup and Lupita Nyong'o, who for some reason have it in their heads that white people consider dark skin to be ugly. Well, then how come I'm alive? How come Marina is alive? How come so many white men would give an arm and a leg to be with Lupita Nyong'o? So many would. Many would, in fact. I know this for a fact, because men are men. Straight men are straight men, and they will like anything that they like. There is nothing wrong with not being attracted to darker skin. Because that's not in itself racism. And that is not what a European beauty standard is. What is a European beauty standard? Again, Europe is not the same. It is not a country with a unified culture. There are different countries with different standards. And obviously, you are considered beautiful here, but you might not be considered beautiful elsewhere. But that's not mean that because they're racist. They might just think, I don't know, you're a bit skinny for me. I don't know. I mean, in Africa, you might not be considered good looking. In India, you might not be considered good looking. Hell, in Indonesia, you could be considered good looking. You don't know. This is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. She's talking out of her ass. Talking out of her ass. I don't want to go into the past either, but I'll try and find a more modern representative. But Grace fucking Jones, a Jamaican, was a Bond girl. She was a Bond girl in the 80s. She was a Bond girl. The new Moneypenny is incredibly hot, and she's British and happens to be black, and I think she's hot. And apparently, you know, hey, European beauty standards is racist, right? Please, just don't.
This is the message, that dark skin is unacceptable. I definitely wasn't hearing this from my immediate family. My mother never said anything to that effect, but the voices from the television are usually much louder than the voices of your parents.
I know she's 10 years older than me, but I think we're of a similar age enough that we can watch the same TV shows that we remember. And I don't remember in the 90s, late 90s, I might add, for me, and the 2000s, the entirety of the 2000s, of people saying that black skin was disgusting, that it was not attractive, that it's not desired at all. I've never seen that. What? Just because most TV happens to have white people in it? Because, you know, Britain is a mostly white country. That's why there's mostly white people on TV. That says nothing about the beauty standards of Britain. Because she's still a massive Hollywood star. She's a massive Hollywood star. She is a sex symbol to a lot of people, black and white and whatever. Yet, apparently, the television has been telling her that she's not attractive. What the fuck? Where's she got that from? Who has been saying this? Who's been saying that? I don't know. I've never seen that. And we're similar ages. What the fuck? I've watched the same television as her, and I never got that message at all. Never. Never got that message. I've seen people who aren't white go on to talk shows and have been complimented to death about how good looking they are and how nice they look that night. What the fuck? I have seen mixed race families on adverts. Are you telling me that apparently the message is that it's unattractive? Hell no. No, it's not. Oh my god.
On top of this, according to a Villanova University study that surveyed more than 12,000 African American women imprisoned in North Carolina, lighter-skinned black women received shorter sentences than their darker-skinned counterparts.
Okay, I would like to see this study, and I would like to know their methods, and that doesn't really prove anything. Doesn't prove shit. Is it racism? Is it colorism? I don't know. It could be a coincidence. Correlation does not equal causation, Marina.
Previous research also found that darker-skinned black defendants were 2 times more likely than light-skinned black defendants to get the death penalty for crimes involving white victims.
Again, none of this proves anything. It's just correlations, which don't equal causations. And I would like to see this study and their methods, Marina, but I might not get it, so oh well.
Another study also found that light-skinned Latinos make $5,000 more on average than dark-skinned Latinos.
Again, I need to know this study. I need to see this study. I need to know how this happens. How is this the case when you can't discriminate against people based on pay? I mean, are these people in different Latino communities? Are these Cubans, Mexicans, Brazilians? Who are they exactly? And what jobs are they working on average? Because maybe then we could work out this earnings gap that they have rather than a pay gap. But never mind. I don't know. I am British, not American. oh well, next. Let's just get to our next point, people.
And let's not forget that there are skin bleaching and whitening creams widely available in the United States, in Asia, and in other countries.
Yeah, so what? Someone wants to look a bit lighter. Who cares? That's not racist. They're not being brainwashed to look white. They just want a certain look. I mean, there's fake tan and the opposite of bleach. Well, I guess it is bleaching. You can bleach your skin to look darker, you know? You can do that. That's what Sean King and Rachel Dolezal did, to look black. Yet they're just called trans black. Yet when black people and Asian people do something to look lighter, that's colorism. Which is basically another word for racism. It's racist for them to do that. How dare they try to look like white people? But hey, we love these social justice warriors who are white trying to be black. They're just trans black because, as we know, culture is ingrained within you. It is DNA. It's not something that you're exposed to outside of the womb, obviously. Never mind.
News reports actually found that Mexican American women in California, Arizona, and Texas were suffering mercury poison for using skin whitening creams.
Really? Really? What has this got to do with racism? Clearly they're using far too much cream, or using the wrong kinds, or maybe illegal ones. Because, I don't know, I would not want to use products that has mercury in it. I don't know about you.
Which just makes me so sad and completely blows my mind. There are tons more examples of colorism affecting the lives of people of color. I'm definitely going to link all of those sources below if you want to check them out.
I have literally no interest in any of this because it's all going to be bullshit, and you keep making it out as if it's just a people of colour problem when actually it's a problem that affects everyone. Again, I have seen it in small British towns which are almost entirely white. If a white person looks to them to have a little bit of brown in them, they're not really white. Well, at least it perceived to be until, I don't know. Look, it's all dumb human shit. But what I'm saying is this whole colorism bullshit thing that you're on about, it happens to white people too. But never mind. White people are the oppressors, not the victims. They can't be victims of racism and colorism. So, whatever. Yeah, thank you, Marina.